welcome to, I was thinking about this yesterday
Uh-oh.
about how many episodes we've done, and I have no concept. In the last 18 months, I don't know. I haven't a clue.
I figured we do probably about 45 episodes a year, but we did
Right?
more through COVID because we were doing some on Saturdays as well, just off and on. So
Okay.
I would say we're pushing
like a lot
300.
Okay, well, I'll have to go and actually figure this out because there are definitely some. Like, I've been updating the blog off and on every few weeks. I'll post a couple episodes because we have like this large gap from like episode, I don't know, 90 to episode 150 or something. So I'm just kind of going through documenting what the beers were in the show and stuff like that. Just kitchen. What's it called? Not kitchen. I don't know, stuff. Housekeeping. That's the phrase I was looking for.
Housekeeping.
So yeah, that's basically. But yeah, I was thinking again about, when is the last time I actually took notes on what episode this was? Now,
What we're probably just gonna have to do
by now.
We're gonna have to just sort of just say screw it, and then once we're ready to sort of get going again and have everybody have the same beer, we'll just pick a number and go with it.
That's a good idea. I like
Welcome to episode
1,836.
I was thinking jump all the way to like 8,000. 8,000 episodes.
Okay.
Like those late night shows. Like I every so often I will watch Johnny Carson on their YouTube channel because they're constantly posting stuff on it. From interviews. I think today was an interview with Betty Davis from like 1973 or 4 or something.
Oh, cool.
And I was just actually going to look up episode count, and it was something like it was huge.
Well, yeah, you do
6,700 episodes over 33 odd years.
I'm surprised it's not more than that, actually.
Well, it could. I mean, that's just their episode count on their Wikipedia page. But yeah, I mean, then of course you have all the other subsequent people, which are, so if you look at sort of the breadth of that show and just, ignore the fact there are different hosts, like that's, 15, 20, 30,000 episodes over 40, 50 years or whatever. I've forgotten exactly when Jack Parr started, but it was a while ago. Was Jack Parr the original? I don't even know.
Yes, I believe he was. I believe he was.
So, I mean, that's just kind of cool.
It's nuts.
But anyway, we're here to drink beer and talk about stuff. So let's drink some beer first, because otherwise the stuff that we talk about is going to be boring. Who is starting? Locke? You have a can in your hand. Let's see what it is.
Okay, so I am drinking the Tropicana.
What makes that?
Citrus IPA. Now, this is made by Heavy Seas Beer. And Heavy Seas...
Where are they?
A little logo on the can here indicating... what does it say here? Independent Craft Brewers Association certified members. A little TM in the corner there. I remember. So, does anybody remember Fontism from like the late '80s, early '90s when people started using word processing software to make art?
Right.
And so there would be pictures made up of characters with crazy fonts.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, like those. Yeah.
So this is, to me, interesting because this is sort of like a non-ironic addition of a badge logo for no reason except to indicate things.
Like you're talking about their logo.
Well, no, what I mean is this tin has more logos on it than makes sense unless somebody's just got a fetish for logos. Is I guess sort of, but it doesn't quite bleed into fontism. So we're back to sort of that level of graphic design on beer cans, which I think is sort of interesting. Now, just the name of it, it's the fact that it's a citrus IPA. Straight away, you should be suspicious because I have frequently in the last half a year gone out of my way to express my growing frustration and boredom with citrusy tasting hazy IPAs. This knocked me right out of the water because it is not that at all. What this is, unlike the sort of the hazy IPA that tastes like orange juice, this is crystal clear and has a flavor profile like marmalade. When they say citrus, what they mean is things like lemon rind. What they mean is things that have bright, sharp, estery citrus qualities, as opposed to just sort of a juicy, sweet flavor.
Interesting, because that to me is show the actual the liquid in the glass. So yeah, that's not opaque in any way. Like that's kind of
Interesting.
Well,
What
I did look them up, by the way. This brewery is in Baltimore, and they are a microbrewery, craft brew, and yeah. So if you if you're in that region, by all means, so they have a blog.
They may have a Baltimore presence, but the can clearly says "Product of Canada" on it. So
really, tell me
more. This must be. Yeah, this is so brewed for Heavy Seas beer in Toronto, Ontario, represented by Craft Brand. Toronto, Ontario, craftbrandco.com.
So they basically have it as a whole cross-border brewing business.
Yeah. So this sort of reminds me of the Witherspoon's International Beer Festival that they do in London. All around Britain, really, at the Witherspoon's pubs. What they'll do, they won't bring product over from other continents or countries. What they'll do is they'll bring the brewmaster over, and then they'll have them say, "Okay, here's what we're going to do here." Right?
So, no, that's cool.
Omnipolo is sort of like playing that game as well. So this is interesting because it shows that there's sort of a trend developing where a company will produce locally, but they'll have some other when they'll enter other markets, but not by shipping the product there, but rather by setting up a brewery there, right? So that's sort of what's
right.
Now, I have another comment to make about Heavy Seas breweries, and that is to say that their logo is a little tiny pirate flag guy. You see that there?
Oh yeah,
that skull there. Yeah, that's cool.
And the lemons and grapefruits and whatever those are, pomelos perhaps, sitting in this. What is that? That's a tricorn hat. So evidently, what they have in mind with the name Heavy Seas, the tricorn hat, and the skull flag. Not only are they referencing that they're pirates, but you can narrow the type of pirates probably to the 1820s when people like Blackbeard were running around in the Bahamas. So it's a pretty specific riff to throw into your marketing, and I think it's sort of crazy that they did. But anyway, that's my observation. What are you guys drinking?
Well, by the way, on this glorious day, we have a viewer living a good life on the rock north of the city. So there you go.
So I think just getting back to the point about a brewery that's operating in two, in Baltimore and in Toronto there. So there's something similar going on out here where I believe it's Odin Brewing operates out of Vancouver and also out of Washington State. I don't think it's Seattle, but it's somewhere in Washington State. I'm not too sure where. Shane, maybe you can look that up.
I'll take a look right now.
So we've done a couple of Odin Brewing's products on the show before, and I actually really liked it. I don't know if everybody else liked it as much as I did. But yeah, that was one thing I found really confusing is that they were centralized. They were based out of Washington State, but the brewing label on it said brewed in Vancouver. And that was interesting.
Yeah, here we go. So here's Odin Brewing. Now, we've had Odin on the show before. And it was, we did the Galactic Space Dragon, but we also did the Super Galactic Space Dragon. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this, I actually, Galactic Peach Dragon. I don't know if this will be any good, but I'm willing to try it if I can find it. I actually saw a ton of Odin stuff in the beer store today. I didn't get any, but I thought that might be worth checking out if we can find it.
Yeah.
There's also a few things like Thor's Equinox, which I kind of wanted to try. But again, it's their limited line. The stuff that I saw today is actually not here on their website. There was, none of these beers were referenced. So what the hell did I see? I'm actually kind of curious. Maybe Odin's Gift was there. That sort of looks familiar, but there's definitely some other Odin product that does not look like these cans.
Okay.
Unless the labeling is changed or something.
Yeah.
But so I'd actually have to go back and check that out because it does excite me. By the way, we have another viewer over here. He's watching and giving us beer. So he's drinking beer tonight. By the way, this individual, Ben here, is actually just finished his first homebrew. So I congratulate him on bottling for the first time the other day. That I was on the video watching him do a bit of the brewing stuff and whatnot. And Julian, you'll be happy to know that I taught him how to brew in the best ways possible. So there you are.
Right.
Alan, what are you drinking? By the way,
I'm drinking something I picked up recently. I don't think we've ever done this brewery on the program before, but it's from Steel and Oak Brewing in. Let's see if I can get you a shot of the can there. Yep. From New Westminster, and it is. Okay, yeah. It is called their Coffee. Where am I here? The Coffee Blonde Ale.
Oh, what a weird combo! I always associate beer that has coffee hints to it, like as a dark. And
so there is a bit of a trend right now to actually put coffee flavoring into lighter beers. Probably most notably here on the West Coast is Night Watch from Lighthouse, which is actually really good. But this one here comes in at 5.1%. There isn't much information about them from that. It is vegan friendly, apparently. They've removed all the meat from this beer, which is a good thing. So this is what it looks like in the glass, and my dog is nosing my elbow right now. So I'll try not to spill it everywhere.
Unlike that show many episodes ago where I spilled beer right into the keyboard.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Hello, how are you?
The flavor profile is actually really interesting. It's a very good beer.
Hey, Dash, what are you drinking tonight?
The flavor of the coffee is very subtle, and it's really not noticeable. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're good.
Look at
You're
how
good.
cute you
You're
are.
good.
Well, I'm glad that one is actually. I want to get that one now.
So if I had to choose, like if you're buying a lighter beer that tastes like coffee because you want to taste coffee, I would go with the Night Watch from Lighthouse before I would go for this. But that's not saying this is a bad beer. It's not a bad beer at all. It tastes very good. But between the two, I would go for the Night Watch.
So does it taste? Well, like when you say it tastes of coffee, what kind of coffee? Are we talking drip coffee? Are we talking, an espresso roast? Are we talking...
It's so subtle in this one, I can't really say. There's like a hint of it, and maybe the only reason why I even detected it at all is because I know it's supposed to have
Right.
A flavor of coffee.
So it
to
is.
it.
It's more than subtle. It's subtle.
Yeah. In fact, on the label here, under ingredients, it just says coffee. I mean, I've seen ones where they say cold brew coffee or instant coffee or whatever.
Is it caffeinated?
Probably not.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit.
Mills used to have a coffee porter that I have to tell you, that would keep me up like all night. Absolutely.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. Probably because I would be up for a coffee porter, later in the day, foolishly thinking, well, it's, it's later in the day and it's beer, that's appropriate. Not thinking of it's 8 p.m. Should I be having a lot of coffee right now?
Right. It's funny. I've never associated a coffee flavored beer with caffeine. I don't know why that is, but I can't have caffeine in the evening. Otherwise, I don't go to sleep.
Yeah.
Right.
Which
But I have no problems having it.
Not to go to sleep is a good thing. There are occasions under
I suppose, yes.
We're staying up all night, so
My age, maybe, but
what?
Well, I definitely I'm one of those weird people that I can drink coffee later into the evening and it doesn't keep me awake. I still just pass out.
You're
like any
weird.
other day. I've only ever had that problem once. I was trying to study for an exam back in university, and I was I had made a pot of tea, and I was basically drank like 3 pots of tea over the course of about 2 or 3 hours, and that was the only time I can remember where I actually thought, okay, I better go to bed. I should sleep really well. And then next thing I know, I'm like lying in bed just staring at the ceiling going, yep, I'm awake. All right, the beer I'm drinking tonight is from Backcountry Brewing, which is up in Squamish, BC, called I Believe You Have My Sailor, my Stapler, which is a dry hop lager rocking in at 400,000 IBUs.
you have to say it properly. I believe you have my stapler.
I believe you have my stapler. I believe you have my stapler, of course, is a reference to the film Office Space, where the actor Stephen Root, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, I think it's Root, plays a very mumbly character who turns out to be the secret hero of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen it, go rent Office. Go rent.
It has Jennifer.
Go stream it.
It has Jennifer Aniston in it, but don't let that dissuade you.
Get downtown and rent your from the rental store.
Head on down to Mega Movies right now and get your own copy of.
I still have my Mega Movies card.
Hey, Peanut Gallery. There is a dry hopped beer here for you to sample. Hand it over. Here you go.
All right, tell us.
So this beer here, let me show you. Whoops, I just knocked the can over. But here you go. So it kind of has a nice. Oh, look at that. That is a decent color, if I ever saw a decent color. But let's find out what it smells like first. The aromatic test. It smells like a lager.
That's a good thing.
But it has a very strange, there's an overtone to it, which I'm assuming is the hop process. So here we go.
Probably.
That is one fine dry hop lager.
Hey, get down.
Backcountry Brewing, well done. Hey, Dash, get off the counter. So,
Clearly, that was it.
so that is a really nice, a very light, because it's only what is it, 5% alcohol by volume. But the dry hop process is very hasn't overpowered the lager taste, so it's actually got a nice balance. It's striking a fair balance, but give it 10 minutes and we might have an aftertaste that sucks balls.
So what would you compare this to in terms of, like lagers can be, I take it this is hoppy, so does it have a sort of Czech kind of a profile, like a Pilsner's thing going on, or is it more like, is this like a Bavarian sort of thing where there's sort of like a hot malt forward kind of?
No, it's definitely hop heavy, but it's actually. I actually let's see. Let me pull out the. Hang on one second. Let me put on the special X-ray glasses, and maybe they actually have something informative on the can. Here we go. When they moved your desk again, taken your stapler, and all you want to do is burn it all down, find yourself a patio lounger and kick back with a 4-pack of this dry hop lager. Actually, that's actually probably a really great way to describe this one. This is actually very dry. So, IBU of 25 does not say. I was hoping it would actually tell me what hop they use, but it does not. However, being the studious student that I am, there might be some more information here. So basically, if you haven't seen Backcountry, it's been on the show before. I think we've had Widowmaker. I think that's actually the only one, unless I'm forgetting. Alan?
You did that one. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
Right. That was the Halloween or Christmas. I think it was a season.
I think it was a Christmas thing.
But I don't see it on here. But I'm sure I can find it later. But essentially, so far, really, I mean, nothing wrong with this at all. But I would say the dry hop process. But the one thing actually here that I am noticing that I think it's heavily filtered afterwards, which I don't know. I'm not used to that filtered mouthfeel. A lot of the IPAs that we have, a lot of the sort of stuff that I make has that. There's particulates in there that are not.
Ben is correct. You did their creamsicle sour like 2 weeks ago or something.
Was that Backcountry?
Yes, it was.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, I just noticed the chat. Thank you. Sorry, I thought you meant your son. I'm like, what does he know about beer? You're right. So, Backcountry Brewing had the creamsicle sour, right? Which was actually quite amazing. I would prefer to have that one just because my memory tells me that I would like it more. But this is not terrible. This is not bad. This is actually quite good. So,
okay, good.
All right, boys, let's get naked.
About time.
It's about time. So, how hot has it been over there in Victoria Land? I hear that it's been okay.
It's fine today, and yesterday. Monday was like a scorcher, and supposedly by the weekend we're getting up to like 33, 34.
Yeah, we have a heat wave warning in the Lower Mainland where apparently we're all going to be cooked in our own juices, where it's going to apparently top out at around 37. I'm assuming that is very much inland. But the low, they said, would be 34. So this morning, after feeling uncomfortable, after feeling quite uncomfortable, I decided to break out the air conditioner that we have here. So it's kept the temperature of our place down to about 24 or so, which I am quite happy about. I've had some nerd friends in town here that live in Yale Town and that sort of general vicinity closer to the downtown core, and they're living in these high rises that are glass on most of their walls, and they are baking. Like the air just does not move at all. So I have the air conditioner going, and I have a fan over here blowing on me right now. So my life is actually not too bad at the moment, temperature wise. But okay, I'm wearing a hoodie, so you know. But
That's true. You are wearing a hoodie. What are you, crazy?
and I'm not dying. So
Though, that's the real question.
dun, 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 dun. Yeah, no, I'm not. So there you go. I have a fine balance, but yeah, I mean, it sucks. So, but I want to know actually a little bit about what, because you were in Muskoka again to escape the heat from the big city.
Yeah.
Did you? What's going on behind you there, Alan? Tell them they're in the shot.
Oh,
Sorry,
that's my
keep going,
wife.
So you were saying, Locke, you came back from the wilds of the stuff.
Yeah.
The
So
lake
it actually,
country?
it's actually quite cool up north. We had a lot of rain, a lot of wind, but most
Yeah.
of all, a lot of caterpillars.
Oh, it is the season.
Yeah. Well, so these guys, it's been a very the worst year I've seen since I was 6 for caterpillars.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, maybe I was close to 8. Yeah, I don't know. It was in Victoria that year.
Yeah. So you're talking about those tent caterpillars?
Yeah, 10 caterpillars turn into gypsy moths. They're when you get a plague of them, they can destroy vegetation like nothing I've seen. Me and my sisters collected up a big red metal wagon full of them and set them alight.
Yeah, I did the same.
Get rid of them. Like they were a real serious problem that year, and I had never seen that again after that. This year up at Muskoka is the first time I've seen this kind of destruction since then, and it's insane. Oak trees that should have leaves on them that have exactly no leaves.
Oh wow.
Oaks, poplars, they tend to be focus trees for gypsy moths and tent caterpillars. But the crazy thing about it is because the trees surrounding the cottage up there are very high, and there's so many caterpillars eating so many leaves that you're just getting this constant rain of half-eaten leaves, caterpillars, and caterpillar shit everywhere. It's fucking appalling. It is the worst thing you can imagine. Really, it's really really bad. Not only are they killing the trees, but they're shitting on your car worse than birds do. Yeah. And you can try to stamp on them when you see them, but now you've got caterpillar guts all over your shoe. You know, like it's really ugly.
So let me tell you what we got going on here as far as infestations go in Victoria. Lizards.
Yeah, what is this whole lizard thing?
Okay,
I've been actually hearing about this from a few people
hear
now.
about the story? There was a reptile zoo that opened over by Beaver Lake in the late 1960s. It didn't last long. I think it only lasted a couple of years.
Story, yeah. They unleashed a lot of toads as well, didn't they?
They unleashed toads, African toads, which have multiplied.
Yeah.
They also released European wall lizards.
Huh.
And very slowly over time, they kept multiplying and they kept expanding their territory to the point where they're all over the South Island now. And Like you can't take a step outside without seeing one. And yeah, so they're all over the place. Like I have no idea what the long-term effects of this is going to be. They should have been eradicated in the 60s, early 70s. Yeah.
To be honest, I don't think I've ever. Oh, good lord! Thank you. To be honest, I actually don't think I've ever seen a lizard in Victoria. I don't recall in my entire life there where I saw any.
If you come over, you will.
Where are these originally from?
Are you saying that there's been a sudden spike in that population this year?
Not necessarily this year, but there has been, I would say, in the last 7 years. We started seeing them occasionally. Now we see them all the time. Like they're everywhere.
Are they edible?
My dog eats them. Cats eat them. I mean, maybe.
Do you eat them?
I wouldn't eat them. They're not that big. I mean, they're only. Like,
I see a little tiny spit in your backyard.
So what you're saying,
cooking them.
They're only big enough to feed a dog or a cat.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's too bad. Well, but think of lucky dogs and cats.
Huh?
Think of all the lucky dogs and cats.
Well, yeah. So I guess
it's not poisonous, right?
No, not that I'm aware of.
They're called the common wall
all over
lizard.
The place. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're literally all over the place, especially in the hotter. Like you don't see them in the fall, winter, and early spring, but late spring and summer, yeah, you see them everywhere.
They normally are. They originally came from Europe. Looks like Spain, Italy, France, primarily France, all the way to Turkey and as far north as Austria. So it looks like that they were brought over. They were brought over several times to North America. Victoria is not unique. So this, they're called the European wall lizard, or Podarcus muralis, or however you want to pronounce that. But essentially, it's a sort of temperate kind of lizard. So welcome to Canada.
Do they eat tent caterpillars?
They might.
You know what? That's a very good question.
They actually can climb trees. These lizards.
The one thing that's a problem is that they do eat things like insects, of course. So they're hitting a lot of bumblebees and honeybees pretty hard, which are already, of course, in trouble. So is this basically another nail in the coffin of the world? Like, are we now? Here's the thing
for Victoria.
Well, here's the thing. I was reading some articles about climate change the other day, and some of the articles basically were saying that that basically we are trying to fend off climate change in a way where we assume that we're at the beginning of the changes, where basically the world has already ended in a lot of these scientists' eyes, that it's already gone past the point that we can do anything about it.
We've already gone past the windmill.
Exactly. So if we completely stop everything today, we might have a chance, but essentially we're screwed. So when I hear about things like this lizard being introduced into a place where it normally wouldn't have naturally been able to get to, unless you had a really, really challenging trek across the Atlantic Ocean and survived. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that kind of attitude? Like, is that a negative attitude? Is that
Yes.
reality? Is it just basically a bunch of guys being whiny jerks, or what?
Yeah. I think the Earth will survive without us. Like,
So,
you know
okay.
what I'm saying? It's like the Earth will be fine. Maybe we won't, but the Earth will be fine.
So is it now that we're trying to uh, so the climate change is really about saving us as a species rather than the world? Which, by the way, in some of these articles, they were using a photograph of people are putting stickers on the inside of cars now, like on the inside of the, what is the cover for the gas cap, and they're
Yeah.
putting pictures of that Swedish girl, Greta, what's her name?
Thunberg.
Thornburg, whatever her name is. But anyway, they're putting stickers in there that basically have her with an angry face going, "How dare you!" To try and make people think about how much fuel they're putting in their vehicle.
Yeah, well,
But
no,
I think
but that's not the problem. The problem isn't using gas. The problem is the number of people using gas. We're
that is true.
overpopulated. That's the problem. If there
Well,
were
that I'm
50
glad you said
people on
that,
the
because that's
planet
my major concern
driving
is
around,
is population.
yeah,
Because as the world gets more people in it, then of course they're going to do everything that everybody else does, and you know, no matter what you do, no matter how careful you are, uh, there's definitely going to be some issues where uh, we could all be doing nothing and being the best little environmental people ever and not cutting down anything else and all that kind of stuff, but the change will still happen because there's just too many of us.
I mean, there are other aspects of this as well. At what point since the last ice age did climate change begin? Um, like coelacanths, coelacanths, the fish.
Yeah, yeah.
They're they're as old as the Devonian.
Right.
What I'm saying is there are species that have survived much greater change than we're going through now.
Oh,
So,
totally.
so that's something to consider. We're not like them, I don't think. I think we're a much stupider, much sillier species that will likely burn itself out within the next, couple of millennia. But we'll see. Sort of hard to know, isn't it?
Well, it's
Well,
kind of
we'll
like
see.
it's like the individuals that say that why do we waste money on space exploration? Why do we, and the reality is, well, barring Captain Kirk coming down to save us, we're fucked. And if we don't leave this planet to take the pressure off this planet,
Hmm.
then we're really fucked because we, as because
in
here's the thing.
in the long term, the sun will eventually
Yeah.
become hotter, and we'll turn this into a cinder.
Oh well, yeah.
Much like Venus or any of the places that are closer to the sun are right now. Here's an interesting question: did life end up here at an earlier stage when the sun was less hot and there was life somewhere closer to it, like on Venus? Could we all be Venusians? That's a weird idea, isn't it? But
It is true.
totally unprovable. Hard to But the evidence for any such thing would have been destroyed by the passage of time anyway. So it's all sort of speculative. How did it end up being the living planet?
I think it's more likely, and again, not provable or anything, that we were maybe transported here from, say, Mars.
Why Mars?
Mars, they believe that Mars was more habitable millions of years ago than it is right now. It had water, maybe it had vegetation and all that, and for whatever reason, it started to, the water started to go, the atmosphere started to dissipate, So they left, and maybe they came here.
Could be. That implies probably that at some point Mars had an active atmosphere. Is that part of the picture, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard stories about things that look like water erosion marks on Mars. I've heard that we've discovered sort of microorganic material on Mars. So I mean, but and then there's an even broader question: could this be the random or purposeful seeding from somewhere else entirely? We really don't know, and it's in some ways pointless speculating because any such evidence of such a thing would be difficult to recognize if we could recognize it, and B, so far in the remoteness of change in the passage of the churn of things, that evidence would likely have been destroyed anyway. When we look into the distant past, all we're given is an imperfect record to the tune of it's sort of a little bit like looking through a keyhole with a telescope, right? What can that possibly tell you about the broader picture? So there are all those kinds of issues at play. But in terms of like, so has anybody seen the new David Attenborough one where he says, okay, here's where I think we are. I know that it exists. I've seen it on Netflix. I haven't watched it yet. Have any of you?
No, I have not.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not.
If somebody's spent their career doing this stuff, I think David Attenborough is the man. Yeah. Do we agree?
I would agree. He would definitely be somebody who would be somebody who really needs to be far more accessible. He needs to be on a live stream every single day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Here's the thing. I'll be honest with you. I don't care what Greta Thunberg thinks, but David Attenborough, if he thinks that there's an issue, he's old enough to have watched this stuff change through his lifetime, and the rate at which it's changed. And I think he's a witness that maybe actually has the experience necessary to know what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, there's definitely. I mean, the one. Actually, it's kind of interesting because I was talking to my parents a little while ago, a couple of years ago, about world population or something, and I just happened to I said I was concerned about population growth and whatnot, and I actually looked it up at that point, and I realized that we damn you, Julian. But basically, the world population has
possibly the worst painting in all of Western history. By the useless prick Gauguin.
But essentially, our population has doubled since since I was born. So, give it another that amount of time, and I mean, world estimates for 2030, which is not that long from now, are pretty scary. That we're going to be 8.5 billion by that point, and add a bit more time where us three hopefully will continue to be around. It's going to probably hit 10, and I don't know. I think the one thing that I'm interested about this sort of thing is when is the tipping point for countries in the need for energy? Like, what is that going to look like 30, 40 years down the road? Because if you read books and fiction, there's definitely a lot of them out there where the next sort of big world conflict is going to be over things like water. It's going to be over things like oil. It's going to be over things like, where countries that have military power are just going to be like, you know what? We need oil, or we need a more secure water supply, and they're going to roll over the country next door. Um, I don't know. Is that a potential reality? Do you see that happening? Because I kind of do,
So
but I kind of hope it never happens.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Um, right now, we have laws against that. International laws against doing that. Before, Germany decided that they needed, to incorporate, as per Wilson's 14 points, frankly. I mean, Wilson's 14 points clarified that people of a homogenous ethnic and linguistic nature, should all be together. So Germany, it was just, doing what Wilson suggested when they moved into the Sudetenland, when they grabbed Czechoslovakia and Poland, right? I mean, so and there were laws against that too. So the point being, you can make laws against whatever the fuck you like, but if nobody fucking agrees with doing what the laws say, then look how fast that changes. Oh, peace in our time, right?
Yeah, well, tell that to Crimea.
Yeah. Well, look. Here's the thing. I was talking to my former boss, back when I was working at the 4 Mile Pub. I said, look, all through the Cold War, we were fighting the Russians because they were communists. But, wake up. Before that, we were fighting them because they were Russian.
Yeah, well, exactly, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's one of those things that, festers in the back of my mind and makes me, every once in a while, I kind of go, is this going to get worse? And what is it going to be like when I, knock on wood, I'm 100 years old?
I believe that the universe will play out as it should.
Spock, Vulcan, 2248. Yeah, well, it will hopefully unfold, which I actually think is a
life finds a way. I know his movie quotes. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you got. I'm out.
Yeah.
God, jeez. Anyway, we've been streaming for almost an hour. How are you guys feeling? You all right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on from doom and gloom. Let's talk about something positive.
All right.
Okay.
What's
we can't think of anything. We're screwed.
And caterpillars,
on fire.
So I unfortunately, so my stepmother's still addicted to American news, and so what do you make of this business between what happened on January? What was it, the 5th or
6th?
Oh, the 6th.
Whatever it was, whatever the Yankety Do Day was, and there. What was that all about? What was that? People attempting to do something, or was it just misguided nonsense, complicated by misguided nonsense?
I think the summary that I kind of understand is that there were some angry people who were upset about this, that, and the other thing to do with the election. And they decided to go and, basically protest at the not the White House, the Capitol, the U.S. Capitol. And here's the thing, is that as much as I'd like to say it was an organized affair, it wasn't, that I can see from the very, I've maybe watched 10, 20 minutes of video, so I'm not that up on what happened. But essentially, it just basically was a bunch of people that got angry, and then they found an opportunity to do something that I don't think they had planned on, and the few individuals that that had prepared for something like that just took advantage, and it was a mob. They decided to do something that they probably wouldn't normally have done.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
If these people were a serious threat to the planet, why do they look so fucking like idiotic? Like, how come?
The
only thing they were missing.
Like, we got a bunch of people who imagine themselves to be white supremacists. Supreme in what capacity? In what way did they demonstrate any kind of supremacy?
The only thing these people were missing were their torches and pitchforks.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, put it this way: I think I mentioned this last week, where I've been watching that television adaptation of *Handmaid's Tale*, and
God,
they talk about in the show. They talk about how they had this plan. They were attacking the Capitol, they were attacking the White House, they were attacking the Pentagon, and it was all arranged. Like, they actually they'd made a big plan. They had it all laid out. They had, people that were a member of the cause in the right places and stuff like that. And this is what I'm saying. Like, if it had been if this on January 6th had actually been a planned affair, if they had actually sat down and laid out what they were going to do, it actually could have been quite dangerous. From what I understand, the police that work there, the Capitol Police, what their job is to protect those buildings, weren't really prepared because they had known something was going to happen. They requested assistance, and the government just didn't give it to them because they didn't think there was something wrong. Granted, Inauguration Day hadn't happened yet, so Trump's cronies were still in the White House. So did they manage to somehow stifle a response? Who knows? I'm sure that'll all eventually come out in the wash, but essentially they didn't get the support they needed, and it all went down the way it happened. But but at the end of the day, it just seemed like a bunch of angry people that just wanted to have their voices heard because they were concerned. I don't want to write them off as crackpots and crazy people, which a lot of them probably were. But I'd like to give them the benefit of the doubt that they are level-headed individuals.
The average person does walk around wearing horns and fur.
Granted, here's the thing.
That's what I'm saying, right?
His photograph sells a lot of airtime. So, sure, was that guy probably off his rocker a little bit? I don't know. Maybe he's just living into he was some sort of shaman vegan guy who is some sort of protester in Oregon or something. Anyway,
who believes that the White House is the country is being run by pedophiles who
the pedophiles that eat babies and drink the blood of virgins or something. Yeah, that whole QAnon. Now to me that's a completely different thing. The whole QAnon side of it.
Oh, okay.
Well, basically, the internet created this thing called Q, started this QAnon movement.
You don't think Star
Trek? To be honest, I wish that John Delancey was running something, because it would be a lot more organized and level-headed.
All right,
but this is the thing, right? Is that it is a it is basically in my nerdy opinion of having lived on the internet for way too long, it's basically somebody thought it would be funny to start something to try and get a bunch of gullible people to believe it, and it worked.
All right. And Julia just said more horns and fur. I wonder how much porn you would get if you Googled horns and fur.
Shane's gonna do it.
Horns and
It would
fur.
all be 70s porn, mind, but yeah.
Horns and fur. Let's see.
It's just probably pictures of that guy.
Make sure safe search is off.
Oh, right. Sorry. Let me turn that off there. Yeah, here we go. All right. Search settings. Turn that off. Yeah. Okay. Yep. There we go, baby. Yeah. Stuff that we can't show on the thing. But by the way, speaking of furs and horns, let's see what this guy is doing. So basically, the defense that the horned shaman is using is that he was unarmed, not destructive, and followed the instructions of law enforcement in a respectful fashion. He was carrying a megaphone so that his voice could be heard. He has no regrets, but he also accepts that he
It's screwed.
accepts his he was responsible for his actions, and he did ask for a pardon from Trump before leaving office, which he didn't get.
So this guy's basically a millennial.
Yeah, he's 33.
Millennial.
So after he didn't get his pardon, he regrets very, very much of having not just been duped by the president, but being in a position where he was, where he allowed the duping put him into a position to make decisions that he would not normally have made.
Look,
Yeah, there you go. So I guess he's got a trial coming up.
Young women. No, this is total millennial fucking behavior. You heard.
I am a QAnon and a digital soldier. That's what he apparently was saying.
A digital soldier. I mean, he's a digital lover as well.
Okay, so
Exactly.
I don't want to get into a whole big thing here, but let's talk about the role of social media in this, right?
Oh God!
No, seriously. So I have long since said that social media is going to be the death of us all. But I didn't really mean that literally until January 6th happened. Yes, I think social media will be the death of us all, which sets the bar way too low for humanity, the lowest common denominator.
Have you as yet watched any reaction videos to September 6th? Because that's what the millennials really like, is their reaction videos. Because the way they react to stuff is more important to them than it is to Gen X or anybody else, right? But I guess it's boomers and Gen Xers and Gen Zers. But it's the millennials. They really want to show that they're reacting in the right way, and so that's why I think there are all these reaction videos. So what I want to watch is reaction videos to January the 6th and to see, like what the right way. So you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I totally get what you mean. Because here's the thing: it's easy to make that content. It's a rolling the dice on whether or not a YouTube channel would actually survive the copyright attacks if they ever got them, which a lot of them do. Yeah, I gotta say it's pretty ridiculous, but I think we should go into that next week in more detail, because that's actually a very long thing that I'd like to do. So definitely check us out next week. We'll be back next Wednesday night doing our typical stuff, talking about stuff and drinking beer. Thank you, Locke, for coming. Thank you, Alan, for being here. And Alan, as always, take us out.